So, I've been diving into competitive Pokemon again in Generation 8, and I've been looking at some lesser used Pokemon to play around with, and some of these Pokemon are just awful. But that's why in today's video, I think you and I can take a look at some of these Pokemon, and maybe, just maybe, come up with some ideas on how to fix these lesser used pocket monsters. With these buffs we're planning on looking at, it'll be anything from a simple stat buff, an ability change, or in some cases, even a brand new form. So without further ado, let's set to the skies and look at 10 Pokemon who need a buff. Starting off today, I want to address a Pokemon from Generation 1 that has been very overlooked for countless generations. Now while its close friends keep gaining more and more, let's take a look at Jinx and her friends. Scyther evolves as Scizor and got a Mega in Gen 6, Pinsir also got a Mega in Gen 6, Electabuzz and Magmar both evolved in Gen 4 into Magmortar and Electivire respectively. Not that I personally think Magmortar is all of that, but it can be there for another video possibly. However, it gave Magmar access to the Eviolite, which is an incredible item. Mr. Mime got a Galarian version, and an evolution of sorts, of Galarian form Mr. Mime into Mr. Rhyme. But what does Jinx have? Smooch him in Gen 2. That's it. I'm not saying that Jinx is weak by any means, but it just feels overlooked to me, and I feel it's about time that Jinx also gets the recognition she deserves. Her stats are pretty decent, and her move pool is completely okay, but I just want to see something more from her, just to even things out a bit. Oh my god, does this Pokemon need a buff so flipping bad. I mean, it needs more than a buff. It needs to go back to Game Freak headquarters. It needs a lot of improvements done. All the stats aside from special attack aren't the greatest. 85 special defense isn't bad though. Honestly, all that needs to be done is its speed. Its speed is 30, meaning it's going to get hit by everything, even in Chlorophyll. Yeah, Chlorophyll doubles its speed in the sun, but what is it going to accomplish with still slow speed even at doubling? Honestly, even if the speed was buffed to 70, that's all it would really need. Double that with Chlorophyll, you at least got somewhat of a threat. It won't be too busted because the defenses are still not that great. 70 speed is still bad without Chlorophyll, so Sunflora relies on an ability to be decent. The goal is to make this Pokemon at least able to get by. So I think that 70 base stat in speed is all it needs to be able to get by. Here's a Pokemon I have always loved, but unfortunately receives no love from anyone else in the love department or usefulness department. Meet Jumpluff, the assistant manager of Whimsicott. Honestly, what Whimsicott has over Jumpluff is Prankster. Prankster is great for elite seeding Pokemon. However, I'm not going to throw Prankster on Jumpluff though, because that just makes it too easy. Instead, I'm going to give it a Galarian form of Fire and Grass type. Then we add Harvest as an ability. We have a fast Pokemon that can stall effectively and heal faster with the help of Leech Seed. Plus, Will-O-Wisp could also be an option to hinder physical attackers if it did get the Fire type. I like this idea and think it can work well. Though it's not a stat buff, I think a form buff would be great for the Jumpluff name. Sun teams would thrive with Galarian Jumpluff. A Pokemon I think people forget exists is actually Delcatty. People not only forget about it, but they don't use it because it doesn't have anything special about it. The stats are all awful aside from its speed, which should at least be 110, but I guess 90 is passable. But the speed buff isn't completely necessary. I have a solution that can solve most of Delcatty's problems. Are you ready? See this ability called Normalize? Scratch it out, beat it, and throw it out of existence on Delcatty. You see this ability here? It's called Adaptability, and can be used a lot better. Adaptability buffs its normal moves by 50%. We could also increase its attack stat from 65 to 85. Boom, we have a decent glass cannon. Maybe not full-blown glass cannon though. Maybe there can be an increase in the defense and special defense to at least 75. I think that could be a better fit. That way it's not a worse glass cannon, it's at least a paper cannon with paper defenses. Is on its way onto this list in need of a buff. This Pokemon's cry is super famous in the franchise, I'm sure you guys know it by now, it's Crickethoon. Oh Crickethoon, for that amazing cry. You really don't have a lot else going on for you, do ya? Well, I want that to be fixed. As a starter bug, I would love to see some stat increases on this guy. Some more speed and possibly like some better defenses. And I think Crickethoon could be a very interesting Pokemon. It's got a relatively interesting move pool for an early pure bug type. Most sand moves maybe give it Boom Burst for the heck of it, but that being said, honestly either make this guy just a tad bit faster or capable of sponging a hit or two. And I think we can make a solid bug type. Not OU material by any means, but it would certainly be, I guess, playable. This is the Pokemon I'm sure everyone on the list was expecting to need buffed. It got gypped of an evolution in Gen 5, and it still smiles at us with the hope of someday it'll get better. Bless your soul, Luvdisc. Luvdisc needs a buff everywhere besides its speed. Its stats, well, you can tell they're pretty bad. Just buff everything. I can't even get to specifics. I guess if I wanted to give it specific stat upgrades, throw its special attack up to 80, make its HP 70, and the rest, I really don't know. Just please help this Pokemon. I can't give any more prayers. Legit bring Luvdisc to Gen 8 and give it a Gigantamax form. I don't care that it's banned. At least give it something that can make it look cooler and give it a purpose. Or give it an evolution for the Sword and Shield DLC and make Luvdisc like Galarian Corsola. Buff it up with the Eviolite, that way it can use those stall attacks it has access to. Toxic probably with Sweet Kiss, and heck, maybe even Aqua Ring will have some kind of use. I don't know, just do something with Luvdisc, please. Oh, and Pheasant, my poor old bird. Why did Game Freak treat you so poorly? All the other starter birds at least have something, but you're struggling so much, and I can't help but feel bad. Where is the justice for Pheasant? I mean, look at its move pool. From level up, it learns one physical flying type move, and that's Sky Attack, a 2-turn attack that can miss. Come on, dude. And if we look at TMs and TRs, it doesn't get much better. Fly? Facade and U-turn? U-turn's quite alright, but this is just sad. At least it gets Brave Bird from TR, but it's like nothing, and I can't help but really feel sorry for this guy. Pokemon needs to do something about this poor unit of a bird. It's really a shame because Pheasant has a cool little thing going on with its design, but it's nothing more than that. Okay, Pokemon, what were you thinking when you made Dedenne? I get the idea of a Pikachu clone with the new typing. Good concept, but what a disappointment Dedenne is. I'm sure most of you know, but Dedenne's only fairy type move that does damage is Play Rough. And I'm sure some of you are thinking, Play Rough is good though, right? And to that, I say yes, but not when it's coming off of a base 58 attack stat. Dedenne has at least a base 81 special attack stat. Where's Moonblast? Come on, Game Freak. I look at Dedenne's move pool and I see all these great special electric moves like Thunder, Discharge, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, and I think that's great. Now where are the fairy moves? There's none. It's just so wrong. Luckily, it gets Grass Knot for ground types, but even then, it's just like, come on, give this guy something. Dedenne's stats can just stay the way they are because it's a Pikachu clone, but please, at least give it Moonblast. I'm not really asking for much here. If not for me, then do it for this little guy. Now, I'm sure you guys are a bit surprised to see this Pokemon here, but Glossop needs help. It may be the hard scale Pokemon, but this thing is as soft as a jelly-filled donut, and nothing beats a jelly-filled donut, am I right? Anyway, why does Glossop need a buff? Well, I'm glad you asked. You clicked this video after all, and I'll tell you. Emergency exit. When Glossop loses 50% of its HP, he jumps out with his non-existent tail between his legs for someone else to take the hit. I think that emergency exit should have a more expensive requirement. And I tell you, either when Glossop loses a total of 70% or 75% of its HP. That way it can actually be on the field for a longer time and do something with its monster's attack stat of 125. Stab, first impression, liquidation. It has a pretty respectable move pool, and I would like to see more from Glossop. Maybe add on body press to the guy too, just because. You poor thing. People neglect you, they dislike you, and never use you. I mean, I can see why they never use you, because you're dealing with a great lack of moves, especially in the coverage department. Oh, the Pokemon I'm talking about is Meracas, by the way. This Pokemon's stats are honestly not the worst on this list in comparison to some other Pokemon. Its special attack is pretty nice. Literally, if there was just a speed bump to 80, that would solve the stat problem. Give it more special attacking coverage moves like Sludge Bomb, Earth Power, and possibly Dazzling Gleam, and that's already a huge improvement on Meracas already. The last buff that Meracas could use is some kind of water type attack. An attack that would make sense for a cactus, maybe like Muddy Water. I don't know. If the cactus are in the desert, isn't the water muddy? It's sandy, right? Hey, it's something, I guess. Just help out my favorite cactus Pokemon. I'm begging you all. I'm tired of it not getting any kind of attention, and Meracas is just so beautiful. I mean, look at its face. It shakes maracas, and it needs some kind of buff. Well, that pretty much wraps up 10 Pokemon that need a buff. There are definitely more Pokemon that could use a buff than the ones I mentioned here. So if there are more Pokemon you feel need a buff, comment below and I might do more Pokemon that need buffs in the future. Another video idea that hit me too was Pokemon that need nerfs. If you guys would be interested in seeing that too, let me know down below as well. Out of all the Pokemon I mentioned though on this list, which is your favorite? Comment that down below as well. If you enjoyed the video, why not leave a like and subscribe to my channel with notifications on, that way you never miss an upload. If you want to support me further, consider following my Twitch where I stream a lot of Pokemon content and all kinds of other Nintendo content like Zelda, Fire Emblem, and much more. Also, I've been reviewing every episode of My Hero Academia Season 4 over on MysticSage, so head over there if you're into that too. I would love that a lot. Want to support me further and gain cool perks? Check out my Patreon. Dedenne Leone, Lady Crimson, Memory Martin, The Lazy Leo, Matthew Young, Awesome Lego, Jarrett Weez Austin, Sodden Grider, Nigma97, and Kermit117 did, and I wanted to thank them personally for going above and beyond. It means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm MysticSage, and I will see you in the future for more awesome Pokemon content.